We are fresh off the main Google I/O 2023 keynote, and without doubt, the announcement that received the most claps, whoops, and cheers during the 2-hour presentation was the new Pixel Fold. And while we've known all about Google's new foldable for quite some time now, I mean, there was an absolute torrent of leaks leading up to Google I/O, it's nice to be able to finally talk about this new device without having to use words like rumor or leak. What's even better than the official reveal is the fact that at least a handful of YouTubers, not us, got the chance to actually get their hands on the device in New York City, and that means we have some real reactions to this premium phone already. Now, these aren't in-depth reviews, but I watched most of them, and there's enough info out there now for me to know that when it comes to the Pixel Fold, I'm already sold. So let's talk about 5 reasons why. Now, before we get into why I'm all in on the Pixel Fold, we should probably cover the specs at kind of a high level. They're exactly what's been leaked for weeks at this point, but we're going to throw them up on screen for you to pause and look at those if you like. Now, this isn't a hands-on video. It's not an unboxing or a review, so if you're looking for something closer to that, I'd recommend checking out some of the other creators who actually got to hold the device in their hands for a little bit. Mr. Mobile, MKBHD, Mr. Who's the Boss all come to mind as pretty informative videos that I've watched, and right after this one, you should probably go check them out. All right, so the first reason I am sold on the Pixel Fold is the fact that I'm already sold on foldables. Look, I don't need a hands-on with the Pixel Fold to know that I'm into these kind of devices. Well, one type of folding phone anyway. I don't really care much for like the flip style phones. I think those are attractive for a few reasons to certain people, but they're just not my thing. I like folding phones that are basically a small tablet that condenses down to a standard smartphone that I can put in my pocket. That I really love. And I've tried a few of them out too. I've had 2 versions of Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold, and for the most part, I thoroughly enjoyed having a tablet in my pocket. I mean, I loved it. For gaming, for reading, for web browsing, and basically anything you can think of, I loved having a tablet-sized device at the ready in my pocket, available whenever I wanted it. But I hated the outer screen. I hated it a lot. And I've said this many times in the past, but if you're interested in folding phones, you need to understand you will absolutely use the outer screen all the time. There are simply too many little interactions throughout the day that are just easier to do on a smaller screen. And for me, the Z Fold's outer screen was too thin to be enjoyable for any period of use. And ultimately, it was the reason that I had to move away from the Z Fold 3, and I've not been tempted by Galaxy's foldables since. And that brings me to my second reason I'm sold on this phone. Google has corrected the Z Fold's outer screen shortcomings in a superb way. Right now, I'm using the Pixel 7a and its smaller 6.1-inch screen, and though some tasks I enjoy far more on larger phones, the 7a's smaller size does make it easier for one-hand use. It feels easier to get in and out of my pocket, and simple stuff and quick stuff feels just easier thanks to this form factor, and it's similar in size to what we'll have on the Pixel Fold. Now, the Pixel Fold's outer screen will come with a 17.4:9 aspect ratio, and it's going to feel really natural to use when it's in a closed state. So for reference, most phones these days are 19:9 or 20:9, meaning they're thinner and taller than the 16:9 aspect ratio we tend to see on like TVs or older smartphones. Now, this makes them easier to hold, but you lose screen real estate the thinner you make that screen. With the Pixel Fold, the outer screen pushes back towards those glorious 16:9 days, making the 5.8-inch screen size likely feel a lot larger than what you would experience on an equally 5.8-inch sized 20:9 screen. If you do the math, that's about a 10% bump in the actual square inch area of the screen, so it does make a difference. Which brings me to my third reason I'm sold on this device: the build quality and the thinness. It seems Google really thought all of this through, as the outer screen size I just talked about goes hand in hand with the thinness of this build. With a 5.8mm thickness on each of the individual panels, the Fold comes together as one of the thinnest folding phones ever made, and that design choice and outer screen size should make for a folded phone that feels a lot more like a normal smartphone when it's closed, instead of a tablet that's been like crunched in half. Again, I've not handled one, but the look in multiple people's hands tells me that the Fold is going to be a pleasure to use, even when that big screen is not in play. And that brings me to the fourth reason I'm sold on the Fold: the hinges. When the big screen is called upon for the Pixel Fold, I'm really excited to see how Google has implemented these hinges. With all the leaks, I've continually referenced the Microsoft Surface Duo when talking about the Fold's overall look and size. Each side panel has the thinness that simply feels reminiscent of that device, and as Michael Fisher pointed out in his video, that hinge design does too. With the Pixel Fold's unique hinge, you get the same full range of motion that the Surface Duo has. I mean, it's only 180 degrees for obvious reasons, but it means you can place it in any orientation that you want and it's just gonna stay that way. This is great for video consumption, astrophotography, or taking selfies when you don't have a tripod or a stand around. And for a folding phone, the size, the weight, and the hinges are massively important, and it looks like Google has nailed all of this on their first attempt. And number 5, I am sold on seeing an uncompromised Pixel experience on a folding phone. It means all the stuff you love about Pixel phones, like Now Playing, Photo Unblur, Call Screening, the recorder app that's wildly good at transcription. You get it. It's all here. And for many of us, it's a known fact that on the software side of things, Google's Pixel phones just do Android better. And now we finally get to try out a folding device that seems to get most of this hardware stuff right, paired up with the software that Android purists really want. And with Google using this and the Pixel tablet as ways to entice developers to build better apps for bigger screens, they look to be thinking through all the ways that the OS can be better for larger displays. So far, I've only seen glimpses of the multitasking, multi-window adaptations the Pixel Fold will be capable of, and they all look great. The animations look fluid, the on-request taskbar that you can just pop up is well implemented, and simple things like drag and drop between apps will be a huge help when trying to get a little bit productive when you're away from the desk. And as I said at the opening, I was already sold on the idea of a folding phone. I didn't need to be sold on that. And with the course corrections Google has made with the Pixel Fold, when you compare it to something like the Galaxy Z Fold, I'm just all in at this point. And if you've been interested in folding phones and not willing to jump over to a Samsung, this could be the case for you too. It's expensive, I know, but folding glass, complex hinges, and years of design and development cost money. And if you're like me, and you've been waiting for a very long time for a device just like this one to come along, it's about to be a really fun summer. But guys, that's it for this one. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. Head down there, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to ring the notification icon as well if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Till next time, we'll see you.